Okay, writing whatever I just wrote for the title of that video reminded me of it. The Shawnee warriors used Americans through the Union Army to defeat the Confederates using slaves as Confederate Army. And I know that sounds funny, but we were the Union Army. We weren't the American Army, but we used the Americans. And that's how we basically did it, is we got you to volunteer, we drafted certain people, and then our French Legion took the ones that were trying to escape through the Confederacy by naval, and we brought them back in, and then they were over-occupied. And so that's what we as Shawnee warriors did, is because in small numbers you could take over small numbers and get bigger numbers, because nobody really realizes what's going on, because my enemy's sitting in front of you, or my enemy's sitting in front of me, but my enemy's enemy is in front of them, and their enemy's enemy is in front of them, and then their enemy's in front of them, but then you get to the front lines and you realize that's all of my best friends. And this is, oh, we're allies. And then by the time you realize, whether I fucking hit the shot or not, I could shoot 5 people on the back of the head before they realize what happened. I don't care if I win the fucking battle. It's gonna make me win the war. It's a different belief system. You know, slavery needs to exist in a sense of volunteering. But you can't force volunteering either. And they do that. That's slavery. You can't just give them, well, here's a multiple choice question. Do you want this kind of slavery or this one? Not really, not when it's not really deemed unconstitutional. You can undeem it unlawful almost as much as you want, but until it's undeemed unconstitutional, because that's what makes you innocent. Until you're innocent until proven guilty, and the guiltiness is proving that it's unconstitutional, not that it's unlawful, because there's no proof saying that that law is actually lawful. I got a lot to say, and I never wrote down, I never told anybody, and then I started to lose my mind. And I don't mean lose my mind like I'm going crazy. I kind of do in a sense, because I get so angry about how bad the world is and how much I want to help people. But like, that's what I'm saying. It saddens me that you would choose to be an American, because we used the American through the Union Army as a slave. I would never want a black person to reclaim themselves as a slave. We gained liberation of you. You are whoever you want to be. And it's okay to not want to be a Shawnee. And okay to just be African. It's okay to just be African. You don't need to be American. American to us is a term that now means slave. This is the land of the slave. They used to use Indian as a term to call us slave.
My name's Catherine Marco.
So we could do the same. If that's English and we have a Shawnee language, we can do the same. So American could mean slave. So we disarm ourselves from being called American because the end of slavery that we created. And once you deem us as being unable to occupy our own force, and that you deem yourself as an occupying force because of being American, the Union is going to react to that, and the Union is going to go back to the UN, which, weird they sound the same, which leads back to the French Legion and all in between that. And I'm not threatening anybody, but I'm being threatened. And I don't want anybody to lose their life. I care about a lot of people, but, segregation got to, exist in a certain way, and it can't be based off of the skin color. It's got to be based off of your morality system, because eventually you're just going to end up killing your own. That's, worst case scenario. We don't want to have to kill our own, and we don't want to have to kill any other people. So if we could just find an easier way where people can fucking hang out, where it's people that like to hang out there with people that are alike, it's a lot easier. Just like when you're stretching your time from spending 1 hour with your girlfriend to spending 5 hours with your girlfriend doing something you like, rather than spending 1 hour doing video games where you both like it, and then spending 4 hours doing a whole bunch of shit that you both like to do but you don't like to do together. Just spread that 5 hours into doing something you guys both like to do together. Don't intermix your other life, because even if you guys like to spend each other's time together with your friends might not like to. That's discreditable to your guys' friendship, because they're a third wheel. Even if it's weird if it's not a couples retreat. It's awkward. You don't want people to feel jealous and misconfused just because today you really love each other. Because something happened at that party, and then there's going to be an argument on the way home, and then nobody even gets to see that, love involves hate. And hate involves love. I hate you do that because I fucking love that you're like this.
My name's Catherine Marcos.
Or I love you're like this because I hate that this type of shit exists. They coexist. They got to go hand in hand. You can't get rid of them. It's just like with the Bible. You can't get rid of the devil and expect the God to still exist. And I don't really believe in God, but that concept exists. The Bible is a true depiction of belief. Just like science is a true depiction of belief, and geometry is a true depiction of the belief too. But geometry is only really a signification of belief in a two-dimensional world, while you're trying to use 3 dimensions to explain it, and that's an physical possibility unless you're a perfect artist. And geometry, Scientology bullshit is not perfect artist, and when you go into art class, you'll start to learn exactly the difference in what I mean. Have a geometry and an artist sit there and configure what shapes are.